everybody, you are watching and listening to the We Are Rizin podcast. This is your host, Andrew Benjamin. I'm joined by my very debonair host, Jay Christian Gary from Focus Fights.
What's good, y'all? I hope y'all are enjoying yourselves this weekend. And we got some very special Rise guests to talk to us. On one side, we got Stewart Fulton. On the other side, we got Brian McGrath, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, that's
and
right.
They are both the English language commentators for Rise Kickboxing on Fight TV, of which their next event, if you can see behind Andrew's little board, is the Rise Yokohama World Series, August 23rd from Pia Arena MM in Yokohama, Kanagawa, Japan, live and exclusive to the English language world or the international audience on Fight.tv. But enough about all that. Brian, Stewart, Genki desu ka? How y'all doing?
Good, man. Good to be here. Thanks for having us on.
Sorry, just to quickly correct you, Chris. It's September 23rd, not August 23rd. That'd be very bad to be doing a shoot.
My apologies. Damn it. I already.
That's fine. That's totally fine. I'm not going to bury the lead here, though. I really want to talk about this fight that you see right behind me. We got Tenshin Nasukawa's third to last kickboxing match, well, second last for Rise, before he makes the move into full-time boxing. Masahiko Suzuki, Tenshin Nasukawa. Suzuki's won this fight for many years. He wants to avenge that loss he has to Tenshin. Stuart, I'm going to ask you, what do you think about this fight? And does Suzuki have any chance? Because that's what, I remember the first time we talked about Tenshin, and, no one's going to beat him until somebody beats him. But is Suzuki, does he have the tools to potentially be that guy?
Well, Andrew, I like it. I have to say, I like it. You could say why this, why now, why Suzuki again? He's already lost to him, and he struggled with Shiro. But story-wise, there's a good storyline there. Suzuki's built himself back up. He's been on an absolute tear. I mean, he's battered a number of guys on his route back to Tenshin Nasukawa, and in this game and at their ages, they're still evolving. So they're two different kickboxers with basically the same style, but they've got different tools in the box now, and that's what makes it fascinating. Also stylistically, as Brian will probably back me up here, Tenshin is very, very technical. Suzuki is technical to a certain extent, but he throws caution to the wind more. He's got that killer instinct, and he doesn't mind taking risks to go for the win, and that's Rise, and that's what makes him so exciting, So considering the pandemic and not being able to bring fighters in from overseas for the regular World Series, this is about as good as it gets. On the other hand, you've got Shiro saying that he's the only man that's anywhere close to Tenshin. So, he's always in the background there. But right now it's Suzuki's time. And I believe him getting a shot at Tenshin right now is fantastic for both of them, and for Rise and for kickboxing in Japan right now.
So actually, I think you brought up a great point with that. I would basically say that when it comes down to these two, Tenshin is all about technique. Suzuki is all about power. It's not to say that Suzuki doesn't have technique, but with Suzuki, his power, like the amount of people that he can knock out so fast and so brutally, it's very very uncommon at that weight level. For Tenshin, it seems that his knockout comes from being just so fast, and his opponents just don't prepare. They don't know what's going to be coming next. For Suzuki, it's just it's coming, but you can't stop it. So, what do you think that Suzuki has to do from the first fight to not fall into the same trappings that made him lose in that fight, and potentially come out with a win with this one?
Even more pressure. He's good at pressure. Take it to Tenshin. The only way to find any slip-ups with Tenshin is to constantly pressure him. If you give him just an inch of space, he'll take his own distance, he'll throw his own combinations, and he'll control the ring. So it's all about pressure for Suzuki. And having said that, you said Tenshin is a very technical fighter, and I said the same thing. And that doesn't mean, I have to be quite clear here, it doesn't mean that he's not looking for the finish. He is always looking to finish the fight. It's just a different approach he has as far as being technical and using technique. Suzuki's got a chin though. Suzuki's got a hell of a chin. I mean, hell.
I don't know if we're thinking the same fight, the Soma Tomato fights, where he did get knocked out, but he got right back up, and then three knockdowns within the first 60 seconds. He got a knockdown, then he got knocked down, and he got back up, and he looked outside the ring for a minute, and I think I even said it on the commentary. He was like, no way, I'm not having this again, because you flash back to Shiro, about get that right, the right cross from Shiro, and he was like, no, I'm not having this at all, and he took it right back to Tommy, and the third knockdown, and I was just going bananas in the commentaries. I rewatched that fight as soon as Rise put it on their YouTube channel, because I was like, I have to rewatch this fight again. I didn't want to have to go through Fight TV to find it there. I was just like, oh, Rise, thank you for just uploading the fight singularly by itself. But yeah, that was, you want to see like what power Suzuki has. That is maybe the quintessential fight to see like what type of power that he has, and his ability to see, like you said, oh yeah, this guy knocked me down. Okay, I know what I gotta do to come back. For Tenshin though, like you said, Tenshin's always looking for the finish. I don't believe he finished Suzuki though in the first fight. I think it went to a decision, if I'm correct, right?
Yep, and that's the other element to this.
So do you think that Tenshin can, I guess, finish Suzuki in this one? Because one of the things I've noticed about Tenshin is that his finishing, I guess, percentage has been, I guess, waning, or not as, it hasn't been the same since, maybe like 2 or 3 years. He's not been the same type of kickboxer. I don't know if that's deliberate on his part or something, but he's not finishing people as he used to.
I think that's partly due to the fact that all eyes are on him. Everybody's studying him and watching him and breaking it down into small parts, what he's doing with his feet and his hands and his combinations. And Shiro figured him out. Shiro couldn't beat him, but he figured him out. Like you said, Tenshin was unable to finish him on both occasions.
Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes down to Tenshin, obviously, we being Rizin fans know how good he is. Obviously, Andrew, you know how good he is in Rise, as do the rest of you. But considering the fact that he's going into boxing, or planning to go into boxing by like March of next year, I mean, when it comes down to his kickboxing legacy, how do you think he'll be remembered once it's all said and done?
Trailblazer.
Brian, how about you, Brian? What do you think about Tenshin's legacy?
I mean, he's impeccable. He's phenomenal. His speed, his distance control. I mean, you take the concept, at the base of all of these striking arts, hit and not get hit, and he's like the master of that. I think, there will be a few things, probably a few, not question marks, but it's unfortunate this whole deal with COVID has happened, because it's shut down some possible matchups. Although really, what could he do? Have a rematch with Rotan? He beats people so decisively, whether it is by knockout or not, that who else is left? Who else is viable? He's a trailblazer. He's phenomenal. His skill set is in like the collective consciousness of kickboxing. And like Stewart said, people can sort of analyze his techniques now, and they can deal with them. But to me, like, he's just the penultimate Japanese striker, because it's not that he's doing these fancy, amazing combinations. He's got great speed. His techniques are so fast and strong and beautiful. And Yeah, I mean, who's going to be the next Tenshin? His name is going to stick around for so long.
Yeah, well, you know who could be the next Tenshin, and let's just briefly talk about this fight because I think it's going to be one of the prelims or maybe opening fights. We got another Tenshin, another Nasukawa fighting, I should say. His little brother, I think it is, Ryujin Nasukawa. Is that correct, Stewart?
That's right. Yeah, he's.
So we got Riri, we got the sister, and now we got the little brother. So
that's right. They're all in there. Yeah, and this is his first time on the big stage too. So there's a lot of pressure there, and it's going to be exciting to see how he performs. I believe it's the first of the opening matches, isn't it, or one of the opening matches?
I think it is the might be the first opening match. I believe it is.
I think there's 3 opening fights, and we usually air those opening fights on Fight TV. So yeah, it's going to be super exciting to see how he fares because Riri, the sister, she's been impressive too. And it's really testament to the coaching at Team Tepben. I think there's 4 Team Tepben guys on this card. You've got Hinata Terayama, who's really blossomed since the Girls Power Tournament and taken the belt. And of course, you've got Shiratori, who is, he's also a very, very clean fighter. And although they're all different in their own individual ways, they've got that Team Tepben skill set, that speed, that awareness, that control and poise that you rarely see with a lot of the undercard fighters.
Actually, so it's the total of 4: Tenshin, Ryujin, Taiju, and Kazane. Oh, I'm sorry, one more. 5. Yuki Sakai is the other Team Tepben.
5 of them, right? Okay.
So yeah, it is a. If you love Team Tepben, this is the show to watch because you got 5 of them on the card.
Oh yeah, just let me quickly plug. This is nothing to do with the show, but Ryoga Terayama, Hinata's younger brother, guy's going to be a killer. Keep your eyes on him. He is. He's definitely coming through, and I'm not going to make any predictions, but if you were going to throw a bunch of names in a pile for the next Tenshin, he would be one of them. Ryoga Terayama. I think how old is he now? I don't even think he's even 20.
Oh, these kickboxers, when they start, so I can't tell if they're like 12 years old or like teenagers. They look so young. And I know
if they were 12 years old, Andrew, if they were 12, you would know they were breaking legal laws.
Because I know in Thailand they start like at 8, 9 years old, and by the time they hit like 13, they already have like 100 fights. So
yeah, there we go. Ryoga, he was born in 2004.
So he's 16 or 17, I think. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. So keep your eyes on him.
Actually, let's talk about the other big portion of this card. The 53 kilogram tournament. Kazani taking on Jin Mondokuro, and originally it was supposed to be Kazuki Osaki, but now his brother, who won the alternate, taking over for his brother now. It's Koki taking over for Kazuki, taking on Shiro. That's the thing I'm most interested in, is that fact that we got Koki, who was an alternate and is now actually in it. So, Stu, what do you think about that little change up?
Well, Brian and I joked about it on I'm not sure if it was on the broadcast. No, I think it was. Yeah, we were like, just imagine if
the two had to fight each other, like they had to go to the finals or something, right? Against each other.
Yeah, because Koki was in the reserve match, right? And he gave such an impressive performance. Brian and I were both blown away. I mean, it was the Matrix kind of stuff. I mean, really pinpoint. He was so accurate, so aware. Yeah, everything was incredible, and he won that reserve match. So he already had that chance. But like you said, now he's in there. It wasn't quite what Brian and I had joked about, but he's in there against Shiro, so he has a real chance of winning this whole thing.
Oh, it's really like it's almost, I don't know. I think it makes it more interesting because I don't think Kazuki and Shiro had fought before. I think, if I remember correctly, maybe once or twice somewhere down the line. But Koki and Shiro have not. So I like that it's a new matchup. That's what I like about it. And Shiro's great, but he might have been getting used to fight. I don't know when Kazuki got injured, but if it was pretty recent, then Shiro has to now train for an entirely different opponent. So I don't know what that does to Shiro's game plan. I hope Koki realizes the opportunity that he has to, like, this is potentially hit the biggest moment so far in his career.
It's huge, yeah, and it's warranted because, like I said, and Brian will back me up here. Koki gave a fantastic performance. I mean, it was one of the best on the card, I would say. That out in Osaka in July, it was amazing.
Yeah, he was by far. I was most impressed with his performance. He was on another level, man. He was going full Jedi. He was incredible.
The person who I enjoyed the most in terms of the entire collective tournament, though, I have to say, it was Kazane, because it was hearing what there was a VTR that they had of him, and then what he said after the fight. And his whole thing was nobody thought I was going to win. I'm the true underdog in this thing. And I was thinking, you know what? He's right. This guy was basically, I don't want to say he was booked to lose, but I don't think he was booked to come in to actually win. And granted, it was a close fight. The fight that he had, it was a split decision. If I remember, I think it was split or majority decision result. But he looked impressive. He looked like he belonged in there. That he is a top level kickboxer. And what do you think about his chances against Mandokuro, Stewart?
Yeah, well, that fight with Mutsuki Ebata, the brother of Rui Ebata, out in Osaka, it went down to the extra round, went to the fourth round, and he won the majority decision. And it was that fourth round that you saw him, the inner warrior came out. And when guys can do that under that pressure after having already fought 9 minutes at 100%, that's when it really comes out, the real warrior, the real winner. And he was impressive, and he deserved that win. He's another Team Teppen guy, and he's very intense. He fights with intensity and emotion, but he doesn't let it get the better of him. Like all of the Team Teppen guys, they show so much poise and control that it doesn't matter that he has all that emotion behind him, because he's able to channel it. And yeah, he's an underdog, but he's super exciting. And Gene Mandokuro is going to have his hands full.
Thank you for clarifying which Ibata, because I didn't want to say which Ibata it was, because I couldn't remember if it was Rui or Mitsuki. I couldn't remember which twin brother it was at that. But
Mutsuki, he beat Mutsuki to get through.
But I mean, Mandokuro, how old? He's only about like 24, 23, I think. He's in his he's not even like 25. I don't believe.
Still young. Mm-hmm.
And he's been fighting. It seems like forever. It seems like he's been legitimately since he was born. He was a kickboxer. It seems like that's what he's been doing his entire life.
He's been kicking since he was in the womb. To be honest,
probably kicking you out of the womb. But he looks so. Excuse my language. He looked fucking good in his opening match. In this tournament. How do you think these two will match up?
I'll let Brian answer that in just a moment. But yeah, you're right. Gene Mandokuro, he's still young, but he's been around the block. 23 fights, I think he's had. And he's about 1998, so he's 23 now. So yeah, he's got a ton of experience, which is all going to go in his favor. He's not an easy one to finish at all, because he's so savvy.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you were so right on, Stuart, about how he's got a lot of emotion, and in some ways he's a little bit raw. He has that Teppen style though, and that's kind of a great place to be, where he's got such good technique, but he can really fall back. And when you're sitting there ringside, you could just feel it. It's palpable, the emotion that he has in the ring. I like Kazane in that one.
Well, even though he does fight from Teppen, there's something different about. He doesn't have the typical, I guess, Teppen style. I don't feel like he has the Teppen thing about him, Kazane. There's something.
There's something.
I'm trying to think of the word. I can't think of the word. I don't want.
There's something. Maybe this will work. There's something shootboxing about him.
Yeah, there's something. There's something about him that just like that comes off the page. There's something different about him. There's something that just jumps
He's
off.
raw.
Yeah, yeah.
He's raw and organic.
That's
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
he's-
Exactly.
He's a very emotionally honest, both in the ring and when he's like talking on the microphone. And that's something that's, it's something we rarely ever see. Just like, well, in Western sports, most of the athletes are told to keep your emotions intact, don't let it come in. But he seems to
Either that, or they do keep their, or if they do get their emotions out, they're labeled as douchebags, among other things.
That's true. That's true. But Kazane there's some, there's just, you feel like there's just something that he's just radiating. There's something radiating out of him. And I'm really looking forward to this fight because not only of their stylistic fight styles, but also their dual personalities, I think is going to make something for an interesting fight. Let's continue on the Team Teppen. The Team Teppen ride, and we got a rematch.
Andrew.
Yep.
Well, I was about to say I was getting forward to the BeyNoah fight, but yeah, let's continue with Team Teppen.
Yeah, we got Taiju Shiratori rematching against Naoki, hoping to avenge that knee to the head cut TKO loss, which kind of like nobody. I don't even think any psychics could see, because that was not the way that we were all seeing that fight going. But what do you think about this, Stewart? Well, do we, is Naoki? How there's like in fighting, there's always been these fighters that can always defeat this one fighter. Like when it comes to like Mirko Krokop defeats Josh Barnett every time they fought, or Mike Brown and Uriah Faber. Is Naoki possibly Taiju's what do you call it?
Kryptonite.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Naoki was under no obligation to accept this fight. He didn't have to take this at all. In fact, there's an argument to say it doesn't make much sense for him. But then again, this is Rise, and the cream of the crop, the best of the best have to fight. And when you look at how that went down in that tournament before, the kick that kind of turned into a knee that clipped Taiju's head as he was ducking down off the ropes, and it didn't put him out. It didn't even stagger him. I mean, it hurt him, but it was the cut that stopped the fight. So that right there is the argument for, well, yeah, he won, but he didn't finish him, and there was still a question mark there.
So now this is just a fight. There's no tournament. I don't want to say that the fight would have not been stopped if it was not a tournament bout. I think it probably would have, but since it was a tournament bout, obviously that makes the argument, well, listen, you can't have a fighter go into the, advance with a huge cut like that. So if you want to make the argument, well, it could have still continued. I think that's a fair argument, but this is, it's single fight. If the same cut happens, there should be no excuse to fight, because we're not, they're not going on to fight anytime soon. So hopefully, if that does happen, the Rise officials, doctors will allow it to continue, because there definitely should be a definitive. They should let this fight be definitively finished in some sort of in some way.
Yeah, this is a super fight. It's a single match. There's a different dynamic here. Naoki went from being the underdog in that tournament. There was no way he was going to get through Shiratori to the final, to now having the upper hand. And yeah, that's that does a lot for the psychology for him,
Mm-hmm. Brian, a fighter like Taiju Shiratori, who's basically towers over all of his opponents that he's faced. I don't think he's faced anybody who's relatively even close to the same height as him. I think he's about 6'1", while most of his opponents tend to be 5'9", 5'8". He has such a giant reach, and how, as a coach, how would you say a fighter should, like Naoki, how do you tackle a fighter who's just has just like this physical advantage such as Taiju?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a tough one. I really like Shiratori in this fight. I just like him in general. I think he's awesome. I mean, I think, Naoki would be well served to attack places that are vulnerable on the taller guys, like the body and the legs. And, probably try to break him down a little bit, not hunt for a quick finish or a knockout. And yeah, go to work. And when I fight taller guys, I've always had good luck with the low attacks, and Japanese guys are usually such great low kickers. I think that probably would be a good way for him to go into this one. Stick to the body and the legs, and not hunt for another cut or a big finish right off the bat.
Do you think that's going to be in the back of Taiju's head? Do you think there might be you think he might, take, I guess, not as many risks or try because he's worried that same thing could potentially happen?
I mean, maybe, but I really doubt it, man. I think he's going to be all over him. I think he's going to be as competitive as these guys are. I think to that degree, he's going to be super hungry, and nothing is going to stop him. I really like Shiratori.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about that, Stewart? Do you think that Taiju will have any sort of just that slight voice in the back of his head saying, okay, this guy got me with a knee. I can't put myself that's even close to that position just in case.
Yeah, that's not going to weigh on Shiratori's mind at all. He's going to go after it, and he'll be pulling all sorts of stuff out the bag. You'll see his bread and butter. His long stick and move, 1-2 front kicks, knees, of course. But he'll have something else in the bag for Naoki. And Naoki's key is to fluster him. The taller guy, Shiratori, who's not used to being manhandled and flustered, that's the only way to really make him slip up, to get him flustered, like Naoki did. Naoki, he threw a wild card at him in that tournament that ended with the unfortunate cut. But Naoki did the right thing, and if he does that again, it'll be a really exciting fight. But as Brian said, Shiratori is the cut was unfortunate, but taking that completely out of the equation, he's super tough to finish, and the odds of him finishing you are super high.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think that it's not a hot take to say, I think that Taiju Shiratori is perhaps the most handsome fighter in all of kickboxing, and I have no idea how this guy with his good looks is in this sport where he's getting his face snapped off.
Andrew, hold on a minute. Hold on, man. Come on.
I just look at him like, oh, this guy should be on a supermodel. He should be a supermodel on Japanese men's magazines. Or
he's got a big fan base. And he gets the screaming ladies. I tell you.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Well, Chris, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I know you want to talk about this. BeyNoah.
I do want to talk about the fact that BeyNoah, who is coming into this fight off the back of fighting his first professional mixed martial arts bout, albeit same surface, different style. He's fighting in the ring. He's used to fighting in the ring, but he's going up against a guy in Negimajin who's 7-3 overall with 3 knockouts. Does this kind of hurt his standing fighting? I don't want to say a weak fighter, but fighting somebody who, is kind of in the middle of the road of his career, despite the fact that he's chomping right into a giant green onion.
Yeah, can we talk about this picture? I don't know what made Rise photographers or brass to use this picture, but this is the most ridiculous picture I've ever seen of a fight pre-fight photo. I love it.
Well, Negi is long onion. That's what it means. So Negi Majin.
I didn't know.
He's the long onion man, the long onion
warlock. Yeah.
Warlock, yeah. But yeah, where is he? He's at Neighbors Kickboxing Gym out in Hiroshima, and yeah, like you said, he's coming off 4 straight wins. 2 of them he's finished. So he's perfect for Rise, and he's perfect for BeyNoah, because BeyNoah loves to go at it, and BeyNoah is never happy if he doesn't finish his opponent. So yeah, it's going to be a super exciting match with these 2 guys, even though most of the fans don't know too much about Negimajin at the moment.
I was watching some of his fights actually today from Rise West, and I was really surprised. He's really cagey, and he applies pressure well, and he's not fidgety, and he sticks with his game plan. I mean, it's not like a win-win. It's not a great. It's kind of a lose-lose for BeyNoah if he has the tough fight. But I think that Negi Majin is a tough opponent.
But still, though, if you think about it, and Stewart Fulton say, "I gotta duck out, guys." Fulton, it's been nice talking with you, mate.
Thanks for having me on again. Sorry I have to dash out, but definitely look forward to that show coming up.
Just quickly, Stewart, which fight are you looking forward to the most, and where can people reach you? If you have to pick one fight, I know it's hard.
Well, of course, any of the top of the card fights, but Hiroto Yamaguchi versus Tatsuya Inaishi. Inaishi is a veteran. Yamaguchi, one of the Yamaguchi brothers. They're both absolute violence monsters, and they're so exciting to watch. They never give a boring fight. I'm gonna call that one right now. That's gonna be pretty good. And it's also the open finger glove kickboxing match that we were supposed to have in Osaka that didn't happen.
Okay, actually, just quickly, is there any difference with the rules because with that or the Tomohiro Kitai match, it's just open glove, but kickboxing? Yep,
just the gloves are different.
Okay, gotcha. And where can people reach you if they want to find you and all that good stuff?
S Fulton MMA on Twitter. Hit me up.
Great. And yes, Stewart will be one half of the English commentary for the fights for Rise Yokohama, the 23rd. Stewart, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Busiest man in all of the fight sports, I like to call you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. And you know what, Mr. Fulton? It's like I said to you on a recent thread. I just hope that you get the opportunity to commentate a Rizin show.
We've been through that, Christian. We've been through that. Well, that's we're beating a dead horse at that, unfortunately.
Yeah, that boat sailed. But Brian, I will see you on Thursday for some fantastic matches.
You bet, man.
Thank you, Stewart.
All right, guys.
Brian. So yeah, this fight. With this fight. Sorry, Christian. Go ahead. Sorry.
You can continue.
I was gonna say, well, this fight with
going back. Damn it. Going back to the whole BeyNoah aspect. Obviously, it's like I said, he's coming off an MMA fight, but he's probably, it's like y'all mentioned. Negi Majin is coming off a 4-fight streak. What can people hope to expect from BeyNoah, even though BeyNoah just came off of fighting in a different fight style? And of course, like always, or like most of the cards, he's the lone American on this card.
Well, he's got such a great combination of that awesome karate background and athleticism. It's going to be a really hard fight for Negi Majin, and because BeyNoah also has he brings that awesome kicking game. That being said, if you go back and watch some of Negi Majin's fights in Rise West, like over in Fukuoka, he's a gamer and he hangs in there and he'll make it interesting, at least until maybe he goes down. But I don't think BeyNoah is gonna slip at all. I don't think his MMA training will give him any problems. In fact, it might have opened his mind to it might even have worked as a cross-training element and in the long run improve his striking game, or at least his physicality. But yeah, I love him, man. He's so dynamic.
Well, here's the thing I want to also ask you, Brian. So I'm always following whenever these kickbox shows come around. I'm always going to the kickboxing forums, Discords, all that stuff. And I'm surprised that a lot of the Western kickboxing fans do not like BeyNoah. They think that he entertains too much. I want to ask you just about that. So, when do you, as a kickboxer, as somebody who's an active kickboxer, what is that balance between someone like BeyNoah who recognizes, okay, I'm entertaining the fans here, but I'm also here to win? What do you think? What would you tell a fighter? Is how do you find that proper balance between knowing the sportsmanship, the pageantry of the sport, and the technique and the winning mindset for the sport? I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just the culture is different here, and he is just like a really charismatic, active guy. And he's also, you know, on top of being a great fighter, you know, he's got his karate background. He's got his kickboxing thing. We started in JNet at a very similar time, sort of fighting up the ranks there. But he's also got this like comedian thing that he does as well. And he's just really active, and he's got a lot of interests. And I think it's kind of lame to like pigeonhole a fighter and say, hey, you need to just dedicate yourself to the sport and be stoic. Like there's so much stress involved with fighting. I bet for him, it's like really awesome and like kind of makes him feel fulfilled to be able to be in the sport in a lot of different ways. And he has something that he enjoys, which is his comedic background. And if he can use that in the fight game a little bit, like in K1, Yasuhiro Kido, who also does like a lot of crazy, sometimes very cheesy comedy bits, but you know what? They get a lot of pleasure out of it. And yeah, you know, fighters come in all shapes and sizes, and it's a hard, stressful job. And if there's other stuff, other talents that you have, and there's other, you know, it's also a niche job, and it's not going to be there forever. And if you can branch out and do more with your career, like more power to you. So I think there's probably just a few haters, and you know, that's all right. I love what he does, man. I love that dude.
Oh no, I agree. I absolutely agree that he, you know, I love the entrances. It seems like I think every fight he has a different hairstyle, or at least he changes up the hairstyle. He comes out with the karate uniform, and he does
karate.
He does Wakanda Forever. I think he was doing that. I don't know if he does that anymore. So you know, I like that he comes out. He's not coming out stoic and just, you know, I'm here to fight. You know, check the gloves and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He's got a pep in his step.
Well, the thing is, like, he doesn't take himself too seriously. You know, like that's probably something that happens with a lot of you know, just some people in America in general, but fighters particularly. You know, is they just don't. He just likes to have fun, and he's just out there having a good time. He's a nice guy, and he's not trying to be too cool for school, man. And for me, it's really genuine, and that's what I really appreciate about him. And that's, you know, that's what I love to see in the sport, is people that kind of do their own thing, and they're cool with it. And he's not trying to necessarily impress anyone. You know, he's just, he's him, man. I like that he's a unique individual.
Exactly. And in a way, before we get on to the next fight, I think that people give BeyNoah a hard time enough as it is. I mean, the dude's African American, the dude's a fighter in Japan who learned the language from the time he was 2 years old. I mean, the dude's basically just trying to fit in, not just fit in as, you know, a Japanese citizen, but fit in as an overall human being, no matter how weird it is. I mean, it's kind of like the Paul brothers when it comes down to professional boxing. I don't want to mix that circus up, but still, I just think that people need to stop bitching, moaning about every little thing that BeyNoah does and start supporting him, because if he gets more supporters, considering the fact that he was born American, raised Japanese, you know, people might make him be that next star that not just American kickboxing needs, but I think all of kickboxing needs. Right, Brian?
Yep, I like him, man. And he's, you know, he's got a lot of just Japanese sensibility. And you look at it, you know, you see one thing on the outside, and then, you know, you see, oh, you see this guy, he doesn't look Japanese, like you expect one thing, but there's so much about him that is Japanese, and that's great. And like, let him be who he is, man. I'm just happy that he does what he does, and I've always been a huge fan. I love him.
Well, you know, here's the thing, you know, I don't know how much longer his days are for kickboxing, because he looked great in his MMA debut. And listen, I know if you saw that fight, he won that fight. If he hadn't gotten a red card, he would have. I think he should have been given the win.
Oh, he looked great, man. He looked awesome. He's just dynamic.
If you look at the faces, look at how BeyNoah looked coming out of the ring, and looked at his opponents. And his opponent looked like he had just been hit by a car.
Yes.
You had to like that, Andrew?
Oh, his opponent's face was all fucked up. Even like he Dominator looked, you know, it became that's what his nickname is, Dominator. That the MMA fighter, that Dominator Yasuda. And he did not look dominating. Sorry?
It's Yamasu.
Yamasu, yeah. Actually, speaking of of comedy and finding another niche. Briefly before we go on to the next fight, Brian. I know that he was a fighter in K1. Yuto Kubo,
Kubo, yeah.
making his MMA debut. And speaking of comedy, I did not know the whole thing about. We did a panel of the Rizin show, and I did not know his wife is like Kim Kardashian, like celebrity, whatever you want, what that's called, like a celebrity for being a celebrity or wannabe celebrity for a
basically she's what am I trying to say? She's basically famous for being famous.
That's it. That's what I was trying to think.
Sure. Yeah.
What do you think about him going straight into MMA, going up against an Olympic wrestler?
Well, I've been talking about this a lot because a guy that I train goes to the MMA gym where Kubo does a lot of his wrestling. I'm trying to remember the guy who runs the gym. It's the guy, he's a former Olympic gold medalist. He fought Kid Yamamoto.
Oh, yes.
Kazuyuki Miyata.
Yes. So Kubo has been doing a ton of wrestling in preparation for this fight. I don't know, like, I did some MMA too, and I wrestled in high school. I'm not a great wrestler, and I know that, you know, being a striker against a wrestler, it can be really tough. Kubo was a good grappler back in his like NJKF days with neck wrestling and the clinch. It's tough to go in there against such a good wrestler, but he has a lot of fight experience. It's one of those things, like, you never know, is a fighter going to transition to MMA like Peter Arts did, or like Mirko Krokop from the kickboxing arena? And maybe Kubo will make the Krokop move, or maybe he'll Peter Arts it. There are just some styles that don't transition well and some that do. So I'm really curious to see. I think he'll do well, but he's getting in there against a tough wrestler, which makes it all the more interesting.
I don't know if you saw the video, the Rizin Confessions video with him and his wife. His wife said that when she sees Kubo grappling, she says she finds it very, sexy? Was that what,
oh, really?
Yeah, she finds Kubo's grappling very, very sexy.
Oh, wow. That's nice to hear. The guy that I trained that has done a little bit of sparring and work with him says that, Kubo's working really hard and that his takedown defense is looking pretty good. So, I mean, he's putting the work in. He's doing what he needs to do.
I don't want to say that the work is not doing that. It's not. And here's the thing. So, I mean, he's not facing he's facing an Olympic wrestler. I mean,
yeah.
So I can always surmise that, yes, his takedown defense will be good enough for a Olympic level wrestler.
Yeah.
That's a different question. Here's the thing. His striking is right there. Listen, one kick or one punch from Kubo could send Ota down to the mat.
Yeah.
So listen, as you know, he still has a puncher's chance, and he has 15 minutes to get that puncher's chance.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's a tough one. But if Kubo can come out and put on a good performance, he can kick off a career in MMA.
Oh, yes, by all means. We'll talk about the other big fight on this card. The return of Kento Haraguchi take on Taproon Hades workouts.
Yes.
Well, what do you think about this fight, Brian? Kento Haraguchi, I know we were talking about the next Tenshin. The first time we talked about now. If there's anybody who kind of has even, I think, can probably take the Tenshin mantle, maybe Kento Haraguchi is the closest, I think, in terms of personality, in terms of style.
Well, if Shiratori is the most handsome guy in kickboxing, Haraguchi's got to be the most well-dressed. I love his uniform, man. Oh, my God. He looks like some sort of futuristic vampire, man. It's awesome. But
Taproon, give him a new nickname.
Some like a vampire from Mars. But he's great, and he fights like one too because he's such a monster. Taproon, I really like, and I've watched him for a long time because he's had a big career in shoot boxing. He's just like really good. He's fought everybody, and he's like got has an amazing Thai background, but has transitioned super well to fighting the great boxers that are here in Japan. I mean, it's a tough fight for Tapiron, though. It's a real tough one for him.
I mean, not to take away from Tapiron, I mean, he's been lucky to make a career. I think he's trained in Japan, if I'm correct. So I think he moved from Thailand to Japan.
Yes.
Yeah. And so yeah, he basically, it is two different styles. They teach you, and you could attest to that. Muay Thai, you're being taught, in Bangkok at Tiger Muay Thai or whatever Muay Thai school there, is entirely different style than when you going to, Teppan gym or your gym.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, elbows and clinch, and so it's way different. The rhythm, the scoring, completely different.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, speaking of Muay Thai, I don't know if you heard. Did you hear about the recent new rules for Lumpinee Stadium?
I did. Yes, I did. I mean, I guess you just have to adapt with the times. It sounds like they're going to allow some MMA and some 3-round fights as well, huh?
Yes.
Well, and I also
no gambling. The big one is no gambling, because apparently that was apparently that's like I didn't know about that. Gambling was like a big thing. Apparently, it's the only.
Dude, if you go to Thailand and you see all the fights over there, you wouldn't know that gambling is big over there.
Okay, so they're taking away that big aspect of the sport. What do you think about just the 3 rounds and the MMA? Do you think it's the end of an era?
Man, things change. I love Muay Thai, and the Thais, it's so much their identity, and I love them, and I don't want to see anything happen that is going to take away, their national sport. I also understand too that times change. I hope that traditional Muay Thai doesn't go anywhere, and I hope that this is just like something they can add to bring more fans, and I hope that it brings more awareness of the sport. It's hard to know what how this will affect things in the long run. I'm sure the gambling, although maybe it won't be taking place in the arena, is just going to move and go somewhere else. But I gotta think. I gotta be optimistic and hopeful for it, because I want to see martial arts continue, and I want to see Thai people still have, the honor and pride of traditional Muay Thai. But I also want to see, that they can continue to also have a spot in the fight world, and maybe that's what they need to do to get people competing, to build up the ability to fight in MMA in these 3-round matches, so that their fighters can continue to get the experience they need to fight abroad.
Actually, that's actually a great point. Continuing the sport of martial arts. I want to know, as a commentator, was that your first? That was the first Rise show you commentated, but not the first. That was you did all the K1 shows and all that stuff. What is your goal with these Rise shows? What do you want to get across to the audience that's maybe tuning in for the first time, or for the second time, or the third time? What is your main goal and things to do and not do when you get the go ahead that you're on?
Well, I do the technical analysis. That's what my job is, and I just want to give people an insight, obviously, into the technique, into the style and the culture of fighting. Kickboxing, kickboxing, it's a Japanese word. It's been here a long time now. The Thais have had, this Muay Thai and this style of punching and kicking and elbowing for a long time. But in Japan, they have a long history with it as well, not nearly as long, but it's in the cultural consciousness here, the sort of collective consciousness. They love the sport. The Japanese have always thrown their young fighters to the wolves, whether it be the Thais or guys abroad. There's just fighting in the martial arts, combat sports in the culture over here, and I want to help get that across. I want to give a little bit of context and perspective. I recently saw he fought in the UFC, Giga Chikadze. He uses the Mikatsuki Geri. He uses the ball of the foot roundhouse. And I was reading some forums online, and some people were watching the technique and they didn't realize what was going on there, because it's a Kyokushin technique, and they thought it was just a really strong left kick. So there's also some things that in the West that happen over here, whether it be style or technique or strategy in kickboxing, that maybe just aren't people just aren't as aware of back home. So I want to help people know about that a little bit, get an understanding, and just give them enough analysis that it's not overwhelming, but they can just have sort of a look into the fight scene over here and really appreciate it for what it is, which is it's awesome. And Rise is just like the top of the heap right now.
Oh no, I Rise. Every time there's a Rise show, I get excited. I wish they would have. No, I know that they do all the show. They put all the fights on YouTube. I wish they would have more big live shows like these World Series shows or just something like that. Listen, I know that you can't have. If they,
I mean, Andrew, I'm pretty sure you probably wish that Rise would take their show, out of Japan. Have them fight in the United States.
That'd be great because then you actually have some heavyweights. They had some heavyweight fights as well. But I also, I understand. Listen, they're not going to show the Fukuoka shows or the girl. Actually, no, the girl power shows. I wouldn't mind seeing live if legally. I'll say because
sure.
But actually, it's which fight are you looking forward to the most on this show, Brian?
I was so blown away with Koki Ozaki. He is phenomenal. He was on another level at that last fight. Him and Shiro. That fight for me is the one that I'm going to be watching the most intently. Probably not doing my job and just fanboying while I'm watching that ringside.
I don't want, I never like to say that I hope someone loses, but I'm going to try to say this in the nicest way possible, that I hope that Shiro doesn't win because I want to see Koki and Kazane or Jimando. I want to see, it's kind of like, it's like the what's that movie? Miracle. It's like Miracle, the American hockey team defeating the Russian hockey team.
Sure.
And Koki Ozaki, he came in as an alternate. Probably didn't think he won his fight, didn't think anything happened. His brother gets injured, and now he's in this big spot. And so I think that I love that, and I want I want to see someone who's put in that position advance. I want to see them go on. Shiro will be fine if he loses. He'll be with Rise. He'll get another fight on Rise on the next big show, and he'll probably work that opponent. But this is maybe the one opportunity that Koki Ozaki has to show something. To show something and like not be, I don't want to say that he's in his brother's shadow, but I think his brother kind of is a little bit more well known, maybe even better in the kickboxing thing. What do you think about that, Brian?
Well, they have very different styles. I'm a big fan of Koki's style. He uses all of his weapons. He clearly has like a very Muay Thai influenced approach, whereas his brother is just sort of a much more power punching based style. But I like both of them. I really like Kogi. I'd like to see him go all the way.
Oh, it would really, it would be kind of, it's a great story. That's what I like about it. Sometimes, the fights write themselves, but a story like this, that's something that you see on a movie. And that's why I like it. And the same thing with Kazane. Kazane, being thought as a guy who can't advance in the tournament, is now in the semifinals. I think it would be, personally for me as a fight fan, to see those two go up against each other. That's my ideal one. If I was booking this, if Rise was a pro wrestling promotion, that's how I would book it.
Sure.
Curious to know, Brian, any chance that we'll see you soon back in the Rise ring? Yeah, anything that you can say?
I hope so. I'm still waiting. There's been a few possible things that popped up as possibilities, but didn't end up working out. So I'm training. I'm ready to go. All they got to do is give me the call and I will hop up in there, and I want to put on another good show, man. I felt so good after that last match. I was having some knee issues and I was a little nervous, but it worked out okay. And I've been doing a lot of work and my knee is feeling as good as it has in a long time. And I want to get out there and sling some leather, man.
I'm trying to remember. I don't know if we talked about it in depth, but is it just finding opponents in your weight class that's the issue? Is that the kind of the thing? Because I know you fight. What's the? I apologize. I forgot the.
Weight class is 82 kilos or about 180 pounds.
Okay, that's
it was. Yeah. That was at 83. That was exactly. That was the catchweight one. I would be able to fight anywhere from say 85 to 77. I'd be happy with catchweight. I'm not looking to chase down a title as much as I am to put together some good matches, like in a big stage, like Rise, one of these World Series fights. So. I would be happy to fight anyone at this point. There's not as many opponents. There's some opponents that are my size that are a little newer on the scene. And so if they're, you know, willing to get in there, I would be happy. If it was on a big show, I would take a fight in Rizin and do some crossover thing. I just don't have a lot of time left in my career. So I want to, rather than focus on like a title run or something like that, I just want to put together some interesting matches.
When you say Rizin, do you mean kickboxing? Do you mean MMA or just any aspect?
I would do either. My grappling skills are weak as I haven't worked them in a long time, but I would be open to I'd be open to either.
Okay. Hey, listen, you know, as well, you know, what about for any of the regionals, Pancras or Deep, whether they needed some middleweight or close to middle-weight-ish? Would you?
Yeah. If they wanted someone to jump in, I'm always here, so you guys can drop my name in the online. Say you want to push, say you want to see Brian fight, maybe someone will pick it up.
Well, yeah, I do know that the Rizin brass do watch and listen to us. I can definitely tell that for a fact. So hopefully, people in Rizin, they see this and they ever have the opportunity to book middleweight or whatever, those close to 77 kilos or something. I know, again, it's a hard weight class for Japan.
Yeah,
I'm sure as soon as Japan opens up, though, I'm sure that you're gonna.
Yeah.
I think you have the problem will be there'll be too many fighters to pick from once Japan reopens, because then you're gonna have so many, because you have foreigners, you have people from America, Europe, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I sure hope
South
so,
America.
man. I sure hope so, guys. I have to go here pretty soon.
Okay, no problem. Christian, you just had one last question that you wanted to ask.
Yes,
Brian.
please.
Okay, well, actually, when it comes down to you, Mr. McGrath, I know that you're known as Takerai Yasui, aka the American Samurai, and we all know that you know, obviously when you're not fighting, you're commentating. But let's just say if you weren't obviously a world-class fighter, what would have been your backup plan? Obviously, you say you were a high school wrestler in Montana, but what would have been your backup plan if Japan hadn't have been there for you?
Well, I mean, all this coming together was such a random coalescing of events. You know, actually, before I ever got into wrestling or karate or anything like that, I was into theater and drama, and I acted in through middle school, elementary school, high school. So if I hadn't run into martial arts, I don't know. Maybe I would be a waiter at some restaurant in LA, you know, auditioning and trying to get a role in a movie, or maybe I'd be, I don't know, working backstage in a show on Broadway. Or that was my original plan, but of course things change. People are always a little surprised when I say that, but
hey, maybe you could be a voice actor in Japan, or what was it called?
Seiyu, yeah.
Gaikokujin Taranto.
Yeah.
You could be one of those.
I mean, you have the voice for it. I mean, I think just from hearing you sound a little bit like Jim Rome.
Oh, really?
Is that a compliment, Christian? I don't know if some people would not consider that a compliment.
I mean, hey,
I'll take it as a
not a compliment unless somebody gets the shit beat out of them, like what Jim Everett did to Jim Rome.
You just did it. You just did exactly what he did, though. You just did exactly what Jim Rome did. That got his ass kicked by Chris. But now I'm doing it by.
I mean, if I basically misrepresented you or just tried to bash you just now, Mr. McGrath, I apologize.
No, not at all, man. I love it, man. Not at all.
Brian, before you head out, I just want to give you an opportunity to give out plugs, all that stuff, social media, your gym, all that good stuff.
Well, as always, I'm representing the gym I work at, Club 360, and my kickboxing gym in Gunma Prefecture, Joshu Matsui Gym. You can find me on Instagram, Brian MC_GRATH123. And I still post videos and stuff on there. So hit me up with any questions, and I'm really looking forward to this next event. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait for the show. Only thing that sucks is I don't think I'll be able to watch it live because it's in the middle of the week. So I've already bought the show. I already bought the show on Fight, so I'm going to have to watch it the next day. And
yeah, of course, you're going to be watching it on Fight. But real quick, Brian, what can fans hope to expect when they watch this show, even though this, I think, marks the first Rise show, or like the third Rise show of the Trillanet era for Fight TV?
Well, man, any show with Nasukawa Tenshin is always gets so much media attention over here. This fight, this whole card is stacked and awesome. And being live at the last event for the first time live at a Rise event like that, I was blown away by the level. It was phenomenal, man. I got to say too, thank you guys for doing what you do and getting this info out to the fans back home and like building up a fan base. This is so important. There is such awesome stuff going on here in the fight scene in Tokyo. And I meet people who've lived here for years and they don't know that this is the mecca for kickboxing and, you know, MMA and just like what an awesome place this is. So you guys are doing a great thing for just the awareness of Japanese martial arts. And yeah, I really appreciate it. I think it's awesome. You guys are great.
Hey, Brian,
But hey, we're both fans. We enjoy putting out this content. We enjoy giving the content to the people. And I think Andrew can probably say, even though I came on after like the Rizin 2017 New Year's show, right, Andrew? That
I think it was that, yeah.
Yeah. We can basically say for certain that if it wasn't for JMMA or, you know, Japanese combat sports, we probably wouldn't have much of an interest in doing this show.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But, you know, also thank you for, you know, being, you know, helping, you know, getting the opportunity for fans who, you know, they're fans who, you know, who they need the English commentary. They need it. They can't watch in Japanese or they can't watch with no commentary. They have no idea what's going on. They like to hear a voice that obviously they understand and that can tell them what's going on without talking down them. And sometimes when you watch UFC, in my personal opinion, sometimes these fighters, like if Dominic Cruz is talking, I have no idea what he's talking about sometimes half the time because he's speaking too much like a coach and not some like you know, it's like the movie Philadelphia. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Philadelphia when Denzel Washington says, "Explain to me like a 3-year-old." That's to me is what a great commentator should do, is speak to me like a 3-year-old. And I think you and Stewart are a great combo. And yeah, I really am looking forward to the show. It's gonna be a very exciting fight. Chris, you want to give the plugs for the show?
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that one more time and hopefully get this right, or else I have a Scotsman ready to knock my damn head off. Rise World Series 2021 Yokohama is going to take place on September 23rd at midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific, September 22nd, and that show will take place live from the Pia Arena MM in Yokohama, Kanagawa, Japan. For the English language or international audience, you can check out the show live on Fight TV and the Fight TV app. Just check fight.tv for info on how to buy and how much it costs. But other than that, Brian, thanks for being a part of our program. We hope that you enjoy being a part of us, and we hope that you and Stewart Fulton bring us exciting commentary as these fighters kick ass in the ring in Yokohama.
Oh, you bet, guys. Man, let's do this again soon. I love chatting with you.
And also stay safe. I heard there's a typhoon coming to Japan, to Tokyo, the Kanto region. So, you know, hopefully you and Stewart will be safe, you know, whenever that hits.
Come to think of it, isn't Kanagawa the prefecture that Yokohama is in? Isn't that in the Kansai region?
I thought that was Kanto.
No. It's up here, but there is a bit of a typhoon that came through a little bit earlier as well. It's not too bad though. I think we'll be all right. Just a lot of rain. It's hard to get outside.
Because we just dealt with our own little hurricane in New York City. So, you know, I know it's like, Christian, you got your shit to worry about this weekend.
But actually it wasn't really that much what am I saying? It wasn't that much of an issue. It was just a rainmaker here in Houston. But I'll be all right. Hopefully, Brian, you'll be all right. And we hope that the fans will be all right and watching it. Thanks for being a part of our show.
You bet, man. Thanks, guys.